Do I have to censor this one out? That is the largest graffiti I've ever seen in my entire life. What's going on, everyone? Back with another episode of Stuff and Things. A couple days ago, I asked you all on Instagram what you wanted to see more of on the channel, and I got a ton of responses. A lot of you wanted to see a variety of different things, but there were two groups of people who voted on some similar things. It was probably like a majority. Half of you said you wanted to see van stuff, which is why we're here in the Sat Van today, and the other half said you wanted to see daily life type of stuff, like a vlog. Now I'm gonna be honest with you guys, my daily life as of recently is extremely boring. Like, not even video worthy in the slightest. I haven't been doing a whole lot. My time recently has just been spent sort of getting all of this YouTube stuff in line and kind of like rolling again. And we are sort of getting close to the holidays, so for that reason I've just been kind of like sticking around the area. I'm gonna spend some time with friends and family, things like that. I do have a trip coming up this Sunday. I'm heading out to Las Vegas. I'll be out there for a week, so you guys will get some more like daily life vloggy type of content then. But as of recently, haven't been doing a whole lot, and I feel like I've been using review videos as my crutch. When I want to put content out, but I don't have a lot going on in my life, it's very easy for me to go, oh, I'll just take this item that people are probably interested in and review it. So that's the reason why there have been quite a few review videos recently. Things are going to be changing as much as I possibly can in the future though, so we'll sort of be getting back to the roots. Now, all of that being said, today I'm in the Sat Van. It's completely winterized. I'll give you a rundown of everything else that I've done after last week's video of winterizing this thing. It's basically in full-blown gear hauler mode now, and today, instead of not doing anything, sitting around home editing future videos and things like that, I figured we would go on a mini day trip adventure to a place that is sort of local to me. I'm going to this place that I've been through probably like 100 times before. I know what it is, I know a lot about it, but I've never stopped, and you'll sort of see the reason why I have not stopped once we get up here. I've got about an hour drive ahead of me, and by the time I get there and show you what I just drove an hour to see, you guys are gonna be like, why? Alright guys, I'm at my destination. I spent the past like 15 minutes or so kind of driving around and like scoping out the area. There's a lot of places with no trespassing signs, and you can't park here, you can't park there, even though it is a complete ghost town. So this is a street that I came in on. There's a whole lot of nothing here. There is like a main highway down there, which is how you get in here. And then I found this little lot here in the grass. There used to be curbs here. I'm just gonna leave the van here and hope no one messes with it as I go exploring around this place. So pretty much everything you're seeing right now used to be an active, functioning town. I'm assuming this used to be some like back alley type of road, and a lot of these lots that you're seeing all around me, which are now filled with trees and just look like a normal wooded forest, there used to be houses and buildings and people actually living here. Now it's just this like super old, broken up, I don't even know what this place is. A lot of people talk about living in small towns and they refer to them as ghost towns. Well, this is about as close to a ghost town as you could possibly get. See, I don't know who's enforcing stuff like that because there's literally nothing here. So what you see me riding on right here used to be like a normal street in a town, and this place is known as Centralia, Pennsylvania. There's even like little alleyways still here, similar to this. And it's super strange because I've been here 100 times just passing through on the highway, but I've never actually stopped to see what was once this old town. There are still some things up here like a cemetery off in the distance there, which is completely gated off. It says private property on there. It looks like it's maintained, so there are still people here. But this place still has a really strange history about how it became a ghost town like you see it right now. So this place, Centralia, Pennsylvania, is often referred to as the town that was on fire, and it's still burning today. For a little bit of a history lesson, this is right in like the coal mining region of eastern Pennsylvania. It's right about in the middle of the state. And there are a lot of small towns like this that kind of popped up in the 1800s because there was a ton of coal here. There still is a ton of coal here. And at the time, it was very valuable to mine stuff like that, so there are coal mines all throughout this area. The mines here in Centralia opened up around the 1800s, and they were active for a long time after that. Now, up into the 1960s, supposedly this place was sort of thriving as a coal mining town. There were tons of people living here. I say tons, it was probably like in the thousands or so. And I'm sure there were shops and people called this place home at one time. Now, in 1962, that is where the fire started, which was basically the downfall of this place. In this area, and especially back in those times, it was not as frowned upon as it is now to burn trash. So somewhere around here there must have been some type of landfill, and the local fire department was actually tasked with getting rid of the trash that they had. So to make a long story short, they started this fire. However, there were some precautionary measures that were not set in place. There is coal all around here underneath the ground, and at the time the mines were still active. People were in there mining. Now, if you've ever seen how coal veins work on like a cross section of the earth crust, the veins run for miles and miles all throughout the mountains. They get super deep and things like that. So what they were supposed to do was have like an outer layer of mud or clay, because these veins run up from the mines all the way to the surface. That's how they knew that there was actually coal here in the first place. So the fire had been started, and there was no protection layer in place to keep the fire away from the top layers of the veins of coal. Somehow that ignited the coal, and as you probably know, it burns very hot and very slowly. So once that thing caught on fire, it extended down into the ground, into the mines, and basically engulfed the entire place. If you look around on the ground around this area, you can actually still see coal, like even right here. Here's a tiny little bit of coal, if you've never actually seen what that looks like. If we look way out into the distance here, you can see a ton of coal, just basically mounds of it, and I'm assuming this is where a lot of it was mined. So after the fire started spreading down into the ground and into the mines, I'm assuming the mining had to stop or come to some sort of a halt in different areas around here, but no one really realized how much of a problem it was until years later. There is a story that years and years later, a guy who lived here, I guess he was mayor of Centralia at the time, he also owned a gas station, and when they realized it became a big problem, he was measuring the temperature of the gas in his tanks. He put a thermometer down there, and it turned out that the gas in the ground in his tanks were up to 170 degrees Fahrenheit. That's obviously super dangerous. There really isn't a whole lot of explaining to do there, but then there were some areas around here that started opening up sinkholes. Because of the fire underground, everything started to kind of deteriorate, and a lot of buildings were having issues. The ground was moving underneath them. There was actually a young kid who fell into a sinkhole, and you can research all of this stuff online if you want to find out more about the kind of weird past and history of this place. So once they found out about the extreme severity of this problem, around the 1980s, the population was around 1,000 people. You fast forward even more into the 1990s, and the population dwindled down to about 60 residents in this entire area that you see around me. You fast forward a little bit more into 1990, and that is where this entire place fell into eminent domain for Pennsylvania. Because it was such an issue and it was a dangerous place to live, still is pretty dangerous, I guess, the state of Pennsylvania took over all of this land, and they worked out some deals with some of the people who still lived here at the time. For the most part, everything around here has been completely demolished, and I'll kind of take the one wheel around and show you guys what I can find. But it is at a point now where the last census that was done in 2017 showed that there are just 5 people, 5 residents of Centralia who still actually live here. And as I was driving around earlier, I would go back some what looked like a dead-end street with graffiti all over the place, and I would come across a completely normal looking house, which is very, very strange. Now, I've obviously heard a lot of stories about this place as I kind of grew up kind of near this area. Everyone always knew that Centralia was a place that was on fire and is actually still on fire today. Supposedly there are some places like up around the cemeteries that are still here. I've heard that there are times where you can actually see smoke coming from the ground, but there are a lot of areas, like there's supposedly a vent back here. I'm assuming you could see some smoke back there, but there are a ton of no trespassing signs, and I don't really feel like going into these creepy areas when I'm out here by myself. I feel kind of weird right now because there are some houses up here. It looks like people still live here. Here I have complete ghost town behind me, but in front of me, there's still like nicely kept lawns and houses. There's a Subaru. This looks like a house that is still occupied today, and there are absolutely no neighbors because the rest of this place is a complete ghost town. Centralia was actually researched by the people who made the movie Silent Hill. And if you know anything about that film, you'll know that it kind of makes sense. Now there's one more thing over here that should be sort of interesting, and this is it. So this graffiti covered road that I'm on right now, it's often referred to as Graffiti Highway. This used to be Pennsylvania Route 61, Highway 61. It's still a highway, it's just a little bit off through the woods behind me now. But I'm assuming they closed this part of the highway after Centralia caught on fire. Now this is a really common place as an actual destination for motorcycle rides, at least where I'm from. A lot of people will bring bikes out, especially supermotos and things like that, and come up here because it's really picturesque. It's kind of cool, like ripping wheelies up an abandoned highway covered in graffiti. There's a really good chance that if you do ride motorcycle in this general area that someone has suggested a ride to check out Graffiti Highway. There's a lot of back roads to get up here, and I've never actually been on here, but it's pretty cool. Hey, that's probably the first nice piece of graffiti that I've seen. Do I have to censor this one out? That is the largest graffiti I've ever seen in my entire life. Hey, that's a cool one right there. That looks like a scary SpongeBob. I don't know what that is. There's a Homer Simpson with something in his mouth. His eyes are bloodshot. So this has been pretty cool to see, actually. There's a lot of nonsense kind of thrown into the mix, just people like tagging stuff to tag stuff, but there's also some like decent artwork up here. And when you smash everything together, art is subjective anyway, so it's got a pretty cool aesthetic to it. I do have spray paint in the van, but I'm not going to be a part of it. My hiding spot worked. Now while we're back here in the van, let me give you guys a rundown of what this thing is looking like for winter so far. Typical stuff, camera stuff, one wheel, blocks if I ever decide to park somewhere. My typical camping stuff, of course my drone and RV stuff. Keeping the bug screen on all year round because why not? I'm typically opening these doors a lot to get gear out, so that's that. And now if we take a look inside the van, this is where most stuff has changed. It's not as livable as it once was. I took a ton of stuff out of here. Up here, just my camera stuff. Fridge is completely empty. I turned that off and cleaned it for the winter time. Of course, there is no more water in here, so I'm not using the sink. No food at all. And then in the back here, I still have my bed set up for skiing season because I am going to be using the van for that. Don't really have any clothing or anything in here, just some towels and cleaning stuff. That's pretty much it. Bare bones sat van setup right now. In here, storage, not being used just yet. And that is about all for the van. Well, I think that's going to be it for this solo day of adventuring. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this incredibly Pennsylvania style vlog. Now what I want to do for Friday's video this week is I want to bring back 5 Minute Friday, and what I want to do is, instead of trying to squeeze a review of a product or something into 5 minutes, I figured it would be a better idea, it might be more interesting as well, to take a comment from one of you guys, hopefully a question, something that's thought-provoking. I'm looking for questions. Let me know what you guys have down below. It could be about anything, something with YouTube, something with the van, something with what you guys see here on the channel. Let me know your questions, give me something to think about, and maybe I will answer your question in Friday's video. So that's all that I have for today. If you're new to the channel, consider clicking subscribe because I make new videos every week. Got a lot more stuff coming down the pipeline. So as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next one.